Hello and welcome to the Motoring News Zone, the show where we take you through all the biggest stories in the world of cars right now. This week, Bentley have begun constructing an expansion to their headquarters in the UK to be ready for an all-electric future. We bust the biggest EV myths around, and we ask whether electric vehicles are contributing to an increase in number of roadkill incidents, particularly here in the UK. All that and a whole lot more is coming up in today's show. Let's dive in. So, electric vehicles, we talk a lot about them here on the motoringchronicle.com. Those who follow us quite closely will know that's not really a surprise statement, but there's a lot of myths and a lot of misinformation out there about electric vehicles, about EVs. So I wanted to set the record straight with some of these, and there's a full article on the motoringchronicle.com so we can go through them together and debunk some of the myths really that are around when it comes to these cars. Almost 1 in 5, 18% of Brits believe that you cannot take an electric vehicle EV charger with you when moving house, according to new research by BYD UK. EVs are shaping the future of motoring, but the manufacturer's latest research reveals that myths surrounding EVs remain prevalent across the United Kingdom. To address these misconceptions, BYD surveyed 2,000 people in the UK via one poll to identify the most common EV myths. Steve Beattie, Sales and Marketing Director at BYD UK, debunks these myths as part of the company's mission to accelerate the shift to sustainable mobility. The most widely believed myth is that you cannot take an EV charger with you when moving house, with 18% of respondents agreeing with that. However, while EV chargers are fixed to homes, they can be professionally uninstalled and reinstalled at a new address. Many people don't realise this, but with professional help, moving a charger is straightforward. It's worth considering the cost though, as installation is often included with new chargers. So you can do it, it's not free, but you can still do it, and it'd probably be better than getting a new charger altogether. Another misconception, believed by 17% of people, is that an EV can be manual. Steve adds, EVs are automatic by design thanks to their consistent power delivery, which removes the need for a clutch or a gearbox. They are built for simplicity and efficiency, making them easier and smoother to drive. All EVs are automatic because, there is no need for gears basically. It is a constant power delivery depending on the setting you've got, depending on obviously your throttle input as well. It's not dependent on the gear because there are no gears, on or off basically. Almost 1 in 6, 14% of respondents think an EV cannot drive through the water. Steve comments, modern EVs are built to rigorous safety standards with waterproof components that allow them to drive through water just as safely as petrol and diesel cars. Whether it's rain, puddles or car washes, EVs are thoroughly tested for water resistance, so drivers don't need to worry. 1 in 7, 13% of people believe that EVs will not last as long as internal combustion engine ICE cars. EVs typically have fewer moving parts, which reduces wear and tear over a long time. Long warranties like BYD's 8-year or 125,000 mile battery guarantee highlight their durability and reflect manufacturers' confidence in their longevity. That is going to be a controversial one. I'm sure people have some words in the comments about that one, because we've spoken about used EVs and people are not convinced that they are safe or worthwhile. But I'll let you guys debate that one. Another 13% believe that EVs can charge themselves. This could be due to confusion around regenerative braking. Braking does recover energy during deceleration, but it doesn't fully charge the battery. It's an efficient way to extend range and improve performance, but EVs still need to be plugged in for a complete charge. And you can only do that, of course, when the car is running. You can't regenerative brake while the car is just stood there. Simple as that. So the survey also revealed that 11% of respondents thinks that EVs cannot be towed. I wonder why. EVs can be safely towed as long as the correct method is used. Flatbed tow trucks are the safest option for any vehicle, including EVs. Dolly towing is also possible for some EVs if they can be placed in neutral gears. It's just about finding the right approach. They are typically heavier, I believe, as well, EVs, so it does make them more difficult to tow. You need something big to tow them, but they can be towed. And the last one, 7% of people believe that EVs cannot go through car washers or jet washers. This misconception comes from concerns about water and electricity, but EVs are built to meet stringent safety standards. Rain, puddles and car washers are perfectly safe for electric cars. Older generations are the most skeptical of these myths, according to BYD's research, with nearly 9 in 10, 89% of over 55s rejecting all misconception. In contrast, younger generations are more likely to believe EV myths. Only 17% of 18 to 24-year-olds rejected all misconceptions, followed closely by 25 to 34-year-olds, where 23% dismissed them. So, interesting stuff there. I honestly thought that more older people would be more inclined to believe these myths. I'll be honest. Well, they did, but I guess maybe the amount of older people having EVs is slightly higher, I believe. I have to do some research on that myself, but the general kind of consensus really I've got with that is the fact that I do believe that older people in general have more likely to have EVs, so they won't believe a lot of these myths. They've probably taken their car to a car wash. They've probably, I don't know, considered moving address or the the charging point myth and stuff like that. But yeah, hope that debunks some of the biggest myths around EVs for you guys. So when it comes to the future of the automotive industry, it is going electric. It's going to happen eventually, and all car manufacturers are going to have to offer pretty much solely electric cars at some point in the future, and Bentley are not immune to this. They are continuing development of their factory for an electric future, as construction has begun on integrated logistics centre within it. Now, we brought you the news that Rolls-Royce, another UK car manufacturer, they're having a £300 million expansion to their headquarters in the UK. Bentley as well, they are breaking ground on something new as well. The changes are very much happening, but let's have a look at the full story here, guys, which is on themotoringchronicle.com as always. Bentley Motors has officially broken ground on its new integrated logistics centre at its historic Crewe headquarters in the UK, marking a crucial step in preparing for the luxury marquee's all-electric future. Designed to enhance operational efficiency, flexibility and sustainability, the facility will support the production of all future Bentley BEVs, battery electric vehicles, while reinforcing the brand's commitment to its Beyond 100 Plus strategy. The 11,000 square metre centre will support material processing and delivery to assembly lines, introducing advanced kitting and sequencing capabilities to optimize the handling of both small and large parts. By increasing the on-site storage footprint by 35%, Bentley will reduce reliance on external warehousing and transportation. For the first time in the Volkswagen Group, Bentley will implement a cutting-edge automated storage concept, an innovative storage and retrieval system that enhances process stability and improves material sequencing. For those that aren't aware, Bentley are owned by the VW Group, as are a lot of other car companies that you're probably not aware of, such as Lamborghini and Bugatti. The facility has been designed with efficiency and flexibility in mind to ensure seamless logistics operations with a direct connectivity to production operations. Inside, a 3-story mezzanine will house a visitor room, canteen, offices, training rooms, plant equipment, and a viewing platform for operational oversight. Commenting on the developments, Andreas Ley, Bentley's member of the board for manufacturing, said the following: "Breaking ground on the integrated logistics centre marks a key milestone in Bentley's journey to full electrification. The centre will transform our logistics operations by enhancing efficiency, managing customer variety, and integrating cutting-edge automation. This investment ensures that Bentley can offer an all-electric portfolio while maintaining the highest standards of quality and sustainability." Set to be fully operational in mid-2026, the integrated logistics centre will play a vital role in Bentley's transition to becoming exclusively electric by 2035, just 10 years in the future. I think they could do it, to be honest with you. I think they could do it, but will they do it? We'll have to see. The demand for petrol and hybrid and diesel cars is not really going away. But obviously the UK has their rule that's going to be, 2035, when no more petrol and diesel cars are allowed to be sold in the country. Used cars will still be around. People who've already got these vehicles will, of course, allowed to be keeping them. There's no problem with that. But yeah, it sounds like it's going to be fascinating. It sounds like it's going to be a very big improvement to their facilities. And yeah, when we hear some more from it, we'll bring you here on themotoringchronicle.com as well. So, electric vehicles are accounting for 1 in 4 new car registrations in a flat February market overall here in the UK. 25% is getting towards the 28% that the ZEV mandate is mandating for car manufacturers here in the UK to sell overall. So, it's looking like possibly they could actually meet that target if that overall increases, but the market itself has not expanded in the previous month. Let's go over this, guys. Another update for the new car market here in the UK. Full article on themotoringchronicle.com as always. The new UK car market fell slightly in February, down 1% to 84,000 units, according to the latest figures from the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, SMMT. In what is usually the smallest month of the year, accounting for only 4% of annual volumes, February was the 5th consecutive month of decline, with a 4% reduction in fleet registrations, which have driven the previous market growth. Private registrations rose by 4.6% to slightly increase the overall market share to 35.6%, while the much smaller business sector rose by 3.3%. Electrified vehicle uptake continued to grow, with plug-in hybrid vehicles, PHEVs, rising to 19.3%, and hybrid electric vehicles, HEVs, up by 7.9%. Battery electric vehicles, BEV registrations were up by 41.7% to 21,000 units, securing a 25.3% market share compared to 17.7% a year ago. This dramatic increase compared with the rest of the market was unsurprising considering the forthcoming tax changes for April, which may see EV models subject to the Vehicle Excise Duty Expensive Car Supplements (ECS) for the first time. This maintains the positive trajectory but still falls short of the 28% for 2025, and given February comes ahead of the March number plate change, it is always one of the smallest and most volatile months. Next month is likely to see a further surge in EV uptakes as buyers capitalise on their new 25 plates and take their last chance to avoid the punitive ECS, which from the 1st of April will add a £2,125 over 6 years to the cost of BEVs with a list price above £40,000. Relative to the rest of the market, BEVs are disproportionately affected as higher production costs means the average BEV retails above the ECS threshold, a threshold which remains unchanged since its introduction in 2017. The introduction of this measure also risks disincentivizing the used market, as well as the new impeding a faster transition. Manufacturers have already underwritten the transition to the tune of more than £4.5 billion in discounts over the last year alone, on top of the billions invested in developing and bringing the vehicles to market. Such industry support is unsustainable, which is why the current ZEV mandate must arrive at measures which can afford greater market flexibilities, incentivize private purchases, and both encourage and facilitate a faster rollout of charging infrastructure. So interesting stuff there, guys. There's some stats as well on the Motoring Chronicle article, just going through that. Top models in 2025 February, we've got the Mini Cooper, which topped the overall sales for the previous month. The Teslas, the Model 3 and the Model Y are second and third. Overall for the year though, because Feb's a pretty small month, it's the Kia Sportage which is top, Nissan Qashqai which is second, and the Vauxhall Corsa, of course, is third overall there. So yeah, some lovely stats for you there on the website. If you've not been over there, please do go over there. You might find something interesting, just like this article. There's plenty of stuff on there on the Motoring Chronicle. One of the chief criticisms of electric vehicles, EVs, is that they are too expensive. Going for an entry-level model or something, if you're a first-time buyer, is very difficult at the end of the day. They are not the cheapest ways to do it. Petrol and diesel cars on the whole for new cars are significantly cheaper. But Volkswagen are trying to buck that trend. They are trying to alter the perception of this by releasing the ID Everyone, the everyday, every person car that is also, of course, an EV. So I've got a full gallery of images here, guys. I'm going to overlay them on the screen so you can take a look. But I'm just going to read out about why this is something that could potentially be a game changer for the electric vehicle market. Since the Beetle, Volkswagen has been enabling affordable mobility for millions of people with compact and likeable cars. Now, with the world premiere of the ID Everyone show car, the German car manufacturer is presenting an entry-level all-electric model. Volkswagen will launch the production version in 2027 with a starting price of around €20,000. That's what, £18,000, something like that. Of course, exchange rates can change over the next 2 years, and they will, no doubt. The ID2All will be launched in the €25,000 class as early as 2026. Both models are part of the new electric urban car family with front-wheel drive, which is being developed under the umbrella of the core brand group in the Volkswagen Group. They are based on Volkswagen's new modular electric drive platform, the MEB, with front-wheel drive. Attractive mobility in the electric era from Europe is one of the central pillars of the brand's plan for the future. With the European launch of the all-electric urban car family from 2026, Volkswagen will offer the most diverse portfolio in the high-volume segment, from efficient combustion engine models and advanced hybrid to future-orientated all-electric vehicles. Thomas Schaefer said the following on this: "The ID Everyone represents the last piece of the puzzle on our way to the widest model selection in the volume segment. We will then offer every customer the right car with the right drive system, including affordable all-electric entry-level mobility. Our goal is to be the world's technologically leading high-volume manufacturer by 2030, and as a brand for everyone, just as you would expect from Volkswagen." Of course, Volkswagen translates literally in English to people's car. Speaking of the people, in the future model, we will talk about customer-defined vehicles. The ID Everyone shows that we are putting customers, their wishes, interests and preferences at the center of vehicle development more consistently than ever, said Kai Grunitz, member of the Volkswagen brand board of management responsible for development. The production version of the ID Everyone will be the first model in the entire group to use a fundamentally new, particularly powerful software architecture. This means that the future entry-level Volkswagen can be equipped with new functions throughout its entire life cycle if its users so wish. Even after purchase of a new car, the vehicles can still be individually adapted to their needs. So where did this car come from? Well, it's kind of the successor to the Up exclamation mark, you may know it as if you've seen it on the road. This was built until 2023 and still impresses today with its clear, unmistakable design. The Volkswagen design language also picks up on the characteristic elements of the Everyone. Volkswagen head of design Andreas Mint said, "Our ambition was to create something bold yet accessible. The ID Everyone has self-assured appearances, but remains likable thanks to details such as the dynamic front lights and the smiling rear end. These design elements make it more than just a car. They give it the character and identity that the people can relate to." Like I said, full gallery and full article over on the motoringchronicle.com if you guys want to check it out. Some more quotes and specifics on how much this will cost and when it will come, of course, on that article as well. But yeah, what do you think, guys? Do you think it looks tidy? Do you think it'll be your first electric car if you've never had one before? This is an entry-level electric car at the end of the day. 20k euros is quite a bit, but it's not ridiculous. That for a new car nowadays, that's pretty cheap, to be honest. That is the economy that we are in, unfortunately. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. So EV production is set to grow according to a recent ABB survey, and this is despite doubts on meeting full EV deadlines, which some manufacturers have of course set themselves. But of course at the same time, a lot of manufacturers are now going back on these goals, saying for example they want to go fully electric by 2035 and actually say, no, we can't do that, we're not going to set ourselves that goal. And a lot of them as well have not yet set a new goal for this target either. And this all comes amongst, ZEV mandates and regulations and stuff like that a lot of countries have, in particular, of course, the UK. So let's have a look what's been said by this survey, guys. Full article on the motoringchronicle.com as always. ABB Robotics' third automotive manufacturing outlook survey, in partnership with the leading global industry publication Automotive Manufacturing Solutions, has provided key insights into how automotive manufacturing leaders and key suppliers view EV production objectives. This year's survey found that overall automotive manufacturing professionals are optimistic about EV production growth in 2025, but they are unsure about reaching 100% electric vehicle production timetables due to factors now often beyond the factory environment, said Jorg, I'm going to go with Jorg there, managing director of ABB Automotive business line. There's strong evidence that EV manufacturing capabilities are now considerably improved, and significant change has taken place in terms of introducing new production technology as well as upskilling workforces. ABB Robotics has made wide-scale changes to our own robotic and automation portfolio to support our customers and drive this transformation forward at pace. There was a positive outlook from manufacturing leaders on the growth of EV production in 2025, with 31% predicting that EV output would increase by over 10%. A further 44% believed production would grow this year by up to 10%. Meanwhile, only 21% of respondents believe EV production would either remain static at 8% or decline at 13% through 2025. There's a handy graphic there from ABB that kind of summarizes a lot of the changes here that are coming. So it is interesting for sure. I mean, like I said, I am skeptical about a lot of this. The electrification of the road network is coming without a doubt. There is no doubt about that in my opinion. But it's at the pace it's going to happen, it's a scale it's going to happen, and I am very pessimistic about some of these targets that the government is setting and a lot of manufacturers are setting as well. I think it's quite pie in the sky, to be honest. It will happen, but I don't think it's going to happen at the rate that a lot of them are predicting or hoping. Despite the optimistic EV forecast from manufacturing experts, there was a decline in confidence about meeting proposed EV deadlines. When asked whether 100% vehicle electric production was achievable to meet the regional deadlines set between 2030 and 2040, 31% believed this was an impossible target compared to 27% from the previous year and just 18% from 2022. Overall, 65% were skeptical about achieving full EV production within the 2030 to 40 timeframe. Further examination of the downturn in confidence found that the main barriers were now deemed to be outside the factory, with levels of consumer demand and confidence in changing infrastructure highlighted as the reasons for this. The ABB Automotive Manufacturing Outlook survey also indicated that manufacturing experts are predicting strong growth in hybrid powertrains through 2025, with 67% of those surveyed believe that plug-in hybrid electric vehicles (EV) production would grow by 20% and 20% forecasting that production would increase by over 10%. Hybrid electric vehicles (HEV) figures were equally optimistic, with 62% of those surveys expected to output a higher amount this year. Hybrid passenger vehicle production remains buoyant, with the global manufacturing community expecting to produce more cars in 2025. These results support the survey's main findings that the overall pace of EV adaptation is currently not fast enough to reach some of the upcoming legislative deadlines for a 100% electric future, said Daniel Harrison, Chief Analyst for Automotive Manufacturing Solutions. Within the manufacturing environment, the production of numerous powertrains across several model lines can create considerable complexity and additional costs, which has been pinpointed in our previous survey's production in partnership with ABB Robotics. That kind of mirrors my thoughts, to be honest. These targets are ambitious. I don't think we're going to reach these targets for the dates that are being set as the deadline. I just don't see it personally. We're making progress. It's getting closer to it, but I personally don't think the rate that we are growing with that is enough. Simple as that. And I've gone over in depth about why that is. There is a lot of skepticism around electric vehicles. The demand is not quite as high for EVs as what was anticipated because of economic downturn. Like I said, a lack of confidence in these cars as well. And that is all despite there being such a massive decrease in the prices of them overall. The amount these vehicles are being subsidized by companies is unsustainable, and it's still not enough. The demand is still not quite there because, frankly, at the end of the day, people don't have enough money. The EVs are not cheap, simple as that. Used electric vehicles are cheaper than their used petrol and diesel equivalents for a number of different reasons, and people who commented on that video were right in what they were saying. The confidence in used batteries is understandably low. It is a relatively new technology, so therefore it doesn't have quite the trust as what what petrol and diesel vehicles have. But hybrids are arguably the best thing to have right now for all kinds of scenarios, because you've got that petrol or diesel engine. I think it's usually petrol for hybrid, isn't it? That'll back up the electric motor once that runs out, which is the best of both worlds, really. You're helping the environment, but you are also not causing that many problems in terms of even when you have to use the petrol engine, it's not quite as much as what a regular ICE car would have. So those are my kind of thoughts on it, guys. It depends how you look at it. At the end of the day, you could see it as being pessimistic, but I think it's just realistic, to be honest, right now. But yeah, let us know your thoughts about this in the comments below, guys. Do you think the government and companies are going to hit their net zero targets, their full electrification kind of targets between 2030 and 2040? I don't see it personally. I think it's going to take longer than that. 2030 is 5 years away. Which is crazy. It doesn't seem right that it's 5 years away, but it is. That's time flying by as always. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Like roadkill, it's quite a morbid subject by its very definition, but I wanted to talk about it today because a thought crossed my mind today, and it's something that I've been thinking about on and off for quite some time now, because I don't know if this is a coincidence. I don't know if this is just something that is specific to where I live and the roads that I drive on, but I would say the amount of roadkill that I've noticed in recent times here in the north of England has increased. It has increased quite a bit over the past few years. Again, maybe this is just something in my own head. Maybe this is something that is local to me. Maybe I'm just getting really unlucky by discovering these poor animals that have very tragically succumbed to a roadside collision. It is not something that is uncommon at all. Now, a reason for this that I hypothesized about was EVs, because EVs are a lot quieter than regular ICE internal combustion engine cars by their very nature. And in fact, I think some EVs, depending on where you are in the world, I think some of them actually have to artificially louden themselves to make themselves compliant, because I'll be honest, a long time ago when EVs first started to become really popular, when I kind of discovered my first Tesla out in the wild, it almost drove into me because it was so quiet going around the supermarket car park. And I know people will say, oh, you should have looked where you were going. And yeah, absolutely should have done. But the fact that it was so quiet, I think, did not help. And then I thought, with the whole roadkill thing, is there a connection here? Is the increased prevalence of EVs actually contributing to more roadkill on the road? So I kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole about this, because when EVs first got really popular, it was the early 2020s. And that was also a time where we had the pandemic. So it was a very unusual time, really, when it came to transportation. A lot of people were traveling less, so therefore the roads from the animals' point of view was probably a lot safer. And I thought maybe that could have contributed to it. And believe it or not, I actually read an academic study from a university in Lithuania. I know the internet takes you all sorts of places, doesn't it? And the results of that were quite inconclusive. At first, when the pandemic first happened, roads reported a lot less roadkill because a lot less people were traveling on them. But then when things started to open up, 21, 22, the number of roadkill was basically higher than was actually expected. So a bit of a bounce back effect perhaps going on there. So that was a bit inconclusive. Then I stumbled on an article here. I'm just going to read some bits out from it. I'm not going to show it on the screen, but I will credit it. It's on Heatmap. It's written by Jeva Lang, and the article is from 2023. And the tagline of it is, EVs will save the planet, but not roadkill. And basically, this is just basically an interview that Jeva has done with an author who has authored a book called Crossings, which was written by Ben Goldfarb. Basically, she just interviews Ben here, and there's a lot of interesting kind of takeaways from this, and I'm just going to go through some of them just to dispel some of the myths, some of the misconceptions that I personally had when it came to EVs in terms of their noise as well on roads, and how I don't think they're really to blame for this. I think something else is going on, but I still wanted to go through this anyway, just to go through their kind of findings here, because it is an interesting read. Now, when it comes to the technology in some of these EVs, it is very, very impressive. We do have things such as accident prevention in a lot of new cars nowadays, but there are some such as Tesla that really have, and Waymo as well. Never heard of Waymo? I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but never heard of those guys. But they have some accident prevention things in their car, and I imagine it would be quite similar for a lot of new cars nowadays, but they definitely have them where the autonomous side of things will take over if they spot a deer crossing the road, and it will try and avoid it. So when it comes to avoiding large animals that can be picked up by the headlights, by the cameras in the front of the car, EVs arguably are safer. At least modern cars in general are a lot safer than cars from the past. So that is something that could help. For smaller animals, it's less clear. They won't really be able to avoid that so easily. Obviously, you, the driver, could avoid them potentially, but sometimes it's hard. You could be traveling at a really high speed and only see this animal at the absolute last minute. But that is something that's across the board. That is not something that's EV specific. Now, the reason why I thought that EVs were, potentially contributing to this more than other cars was basically because they are quieter. But most of the noise, particularly at high speeds anyway, most of the noise that is produced by cars is not actually produced by the engine. It's just produced by the tires on the road, the air that is rushing past the car. Most of the sound, particularly at higher speeds, unless you've got a really, really amped up car with like a blown exhaust sort of thing going on, most of the noise actually comes from the car itself rather than the engine, so it's not really that relevant. Yes, EVs are heavier, and that will make them slightly louder actually as well. So in a sense, it's actually probably not that. So I don't think the noise is actually a contributing factor really when it comes to this. So honestly, I don't know what's causing this increase in roadkill. Even if it is increasing, just in my own personal experience, I would say it is. But I don't think EVs are the cause of this. I mean, I'm happy to discuss this in the comments with you guys. It's one of them where I just go in with a bit of a theory as to what is going on here, and I just think what has changed in the last few years when it comes to the automotive landscape of the UK and a lot of Western countries. It is the fact that we've got EVs now. We didn't have them to the same prevalence as before, but from what I can tell, I don't think it's them. I think something else is going on. It could be good old climate change, which is always a controversial subject. I don't know personally. I've researched this as much as I can. I've looked up as much as I can, but in terms of a conclusive answer, all I can say is that it's probably not EVs. There's probably other factors that are more significant when it comes to this. But yeah, like I said, quite a morbid subject, quite literally. You guys let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that the roadkill numbers have increased over the past few years? Is this something that you've noticed as well? Just get your thoughts in there. I want to hear what you have to say. And if you want to see some more videos on the world of motoring and cars, do keep it tuned here to themotoringchronicle.com, guys. Have a great day, and stay safe out there.